Hey guys, today we're going to be looking at analyzing categorical data. Looking at the first thing is this is a bar graph, and this is a bar graph of various students who were asked, what is your favorite subject in school? But you notice the graph counts by fives, and so if you look above athletics had about 23 students who chose it as its favorite subject. So across the bottom you have the different subjects, and then going up and down are the numbers that we're going to be looking at. So across from reading, that looks to be about 5 students who chose reading as their favorite. Math, halfway in between 15 and 20, which it looks a little above half, so maybe 18 students. Science, it looks to be about 9. Band, a little less than science, so we'll call it 8. History, exactly 5. PE, a little under 5, which we'll call 4. Art might be even with science, so we'll say 9 students. Lunch, 5. Reading writing a little above 5, so 6, and then 1 for theater. And so we're going to answer the questions dealing with this bar chart to analyze it a little bit better. So the first question says, how many total students were surveyed? Well, to find the total number of students that were surveyed, you'd have to add up all the numbers. And so if you were to add up each of these, to save us a little bit of time, I've already added it, and that equals 93 students. And then it says, what percent of students chose athletics as their favorite subject? So we know athletics had 23 choose it, and we know that there's 93 total students who participated in the survey. So to figure out a percent, we're going to set up a fraction with athletics on top and the total number on bottom. So again, athletics was 23 over the total of 93. So to figure out the percent, now we're going to divide. So when we divide, we're going to set our division box up, and the first number, 23, goes inside and 93 goes outside. Well, 93 doesn't go into 23, so we'll put a 0 there, add a decimal, and then put a 0 inside. 93 does go into 230 twice, and so let's do 93 times 2. 3 times 2 is 6, and 2 times 9 is 18. So we're going to subtract 186. Now we can't do 0 minus 6, so we're going to need a borrow, make that a 2. So 10 minus 6 is 4. Borrow from the 2, make it a 1. Now this is 12. 12 minus 8 is 4. Now we're going to add a 0, bring it down. 93 goes into 440 4 times. So let's try 93 times 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 9 times 4 is 36, plus 1 is 37. So now we're going to subtract 372. Got to borrow from the 4, make it a 3. 10 minus 2 is 8. Borrow from the 4, make it a 3. Now this is 13. Minus 7 is 6. I'm going to go ahead and add a 0, bring it down for one more. 93 goes into 680 7 times. And I'm going to stop right there because the question's asking what is the percent. I have enough numbers to now figure out the percent. So our answer is 0.247. Now to change this into a percent, remember we have to take this decimal and move it 2 places to the right. So we'll go 1 2 times. And so this would be the same as 24.7%. Or if we needed to round it, this 7 right here would actually bump the 4 up to a 5. So this would be about 25%, or 1/4 chose athletics. And if you notice on the bar graph above, it looks like more people chose athletics than anything else. Now it says what percent of students chose science or math. So we're concerned now with science or math. We're going to combine those together to figure out the percentage combined. So we need to know the number of science and math students. If you look above at the bar chart, math is 18 and science is 9. So to combine those together, we're going to do 18 plus 9, which would give us 27. And this is the combined answer for science and math. Well, we still want to know what is the percent, so we're going to make a fraction with the science plus the math, so our answer when we added, over the total number of students. Only when we added science and math together, that was 27. And our total hasn't changed, it's still 93. To make this into a percent, we first need to divide. So first number is going to go inside, 27, and then 93 is going to go outside. 93 doesn't go into 270, so we'll add a 0, a decimal, add a 0 inside. 93 will go into 270 two times. So let's try 93 times 2. 3 times 2 is 6. And then 9 times 2 is 18. So we'll subtract 186. Borrow from the 7, make it a 6. 10 minus 6 is 4. Borrow from the 2, make it a 1. This is now 16 minus 8 is 8. And then 1 minus 1 is 0. Let's add a 0, bring it down. 93 goes into 849 times. So let's try 93 times 9. 9 times 3, 27. 9 times 9 is 81, 82, 83. We're going to go ahead and stop here. Now we have enough numbers. Our answer is 0.29. And if we want to change this to a percent, we would move the decimal over 2 places. And so this would be called 29%. So about 29%, close to 30% chose science or math as their favorite subject. Now I think this is interesting that so many students chose math. I know a lot of students struggle with math and it doesn't come as easy for people. This is actually a survey I took on my students at the beginning of this school year. I'm wondering if so many people chose math as their favorite subject because I was the one who asked. Maybe it was a little bias of me to ask, what's your favorite subject? So many chose math. Maybe we should have asked at the beginning of the school day, or maybe I should have had our office staff go around and ask at a different time. But I'm wondering if this number is a little bit higher than it normally would be because I was the one who asked at the beginning of the school year in my classes. Alright, let's look at the circle graph. Now we're changing topics and we're looking at favorite pizza toppings. And I see that there's pepperoni, cheese, sausage, and supreme. And if you look at the circle graph here, it looks about half of the people chose pepperoni. So that looks to be the favorite. The next favorite might be cheese, followed by sausage, and then the supreme section looks a little smaller than sausage. And so the question says here, if 300 people were surveyed, how many chose cheese as their favorite? Well, this time we have the percent, and now we're wanting to find the actual number, so it's backwards from what we have been doing with the bar graph. We're wanting to know out of the total, how many chose cheese. And so if you look at the circle graph, cheese is 25%, and we want to know what is 25% of 300. Now this word of means to multiply. So we're going to change the percent to a decimal, and then we're going to multiply it with the total number. Remember, changing a percent to a decimal, we still are going to move it over twice. It starts after the 5, and then we'll count twice to the left this time. And so now we have 0.25, and we're going to multiply that with 300. So So let's go ahead and do that. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 3 is 15. Add a 0. Now we're on the next number. 2 times zeros are zeros. And then 2 times 3 is 6. When we add this up, it looks like we would end up getting 7, 5 with 2 zeros. Now, if you look in our work, there are 2 numbers after the decimal, so we'll count over 1 2 times. And so this would be 75 people chose cheese. The next question says, if 300 people were surveyed, how many chose Supreme as their favorite? So let's look at Supreme. Now, I do not see a percentage for the Supreme, so we're going to have to figure that out. Now, something we're supposed to know is that the total percent is equal to 100%. And so all of these have to add up to 100. So let's add up the ones that we know. So we know 50, 25, and 15. If we were to add these up, we would get 90%. And so the remaining percent would be Supreme. So let's take that 100 total and subtract out the 90, and that would give us 10% left over for Supreme. So now we can answer what is 10% of the 300, because it's 300 people, and we want to know Supreme, which we just figured out is 10%. Remember that the word of means to multiply, so we're going to first change the 10% to a decimal by moving it over twice. Remember, it starts after the 0, count over 1, 2. So now we're going to take 300 and multiply that by 0.10. Well, 0 times any number is just 0. We're going to add a 0 because now we're on to the next number. 0 times those 2 zeros is just 0, and then 1 times 3 is 3. So we have this number 3000. Now, there are 2 numbers after the decimal in our work, so we can count over twice, and so this would be 30 people chose Supreme. The last question says, okay, well, now that we know these 2 answers, what is the difference in the amount of people who like cheese versus Supreme? The word difference means to subtract. So we're going to take our 2 answers, the one for cheese and the one for Supreme, and subtract them. So we know that we have 75 for cheese minus 30 for Supreme. And if we were to subtract those 2 numbers, we would get 45 people. So when we're going from a percent to an actual number, we need to change the percent to a decimal, and then we multiply it with the total number. Above, with the bar graph, we actually knew the numbers, the number of people who selected each subject. So we were changing that into a percent, and we needed to make it into a fraction and then divide, and then from there change the decimal to a percent. Thank you guys for watching.